The Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. Today we welcome Signal Snowboards founder Dave Lee to the podcast. I'm sure you're asking why a snowboarder is on a music podcast, and I will tell you, outside of the obvious connections between snowboarding and underground and aggressive music, Dave and Signal have a YouTube show called Cardboard Sessions, where musicians come and play instruments that Dave and his team have designed that are made out of cardboard. It's a really fun series, so make sure you check out the link to the show that's in the show notes. Dave talks about being a part of the Seattle music scene as it was exploding, getting into snowboarding, the inspiration behind creating instruments out of cardboard, his dream guests for the show, and more. Thanks so much for checking out this episode of As the Story Grows. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, welcome. Thanks for checking us out. You can find links in our show notes or over at asthestorygrows.com for our mailing list, our Discord server, and our Patreon page, where $1 a month will get you early access to every episode. And if you dig the podcast, like what you hear, and want to hear more, I would love it if you subscribed to the podcast on your podcast platform of choice. Enjoy today's conversation with Dave Lee of Signal Snowboards.
Opening a store in New York City, so yeah, I'm busy, but but I have time.
Well,
I just didn't have a place to go. I was like, I hope outside is okay.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Cool. I'm gonna sit here then.
Cool.
Good.
Cool. Yeah. How's it going? It's pretty cold to just be chilling outside.
Yeah, no, it's fine though. I like it. It's beautiful outside right now.
Yeah, I mean, you've spent some time snowboarding, so.
Oh yeah, I got all the right gear on.
Yeah, you become accustomed to that, or you just know how to dress properly?
I know how to dress properly. I've been doing it a long time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I know you're currently in New York. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Seattle.
Okay.
Yeah. All through grade school, high school, basically lived there until I moved to LA sometime in my late 20s, and then from LA I moved to New York. So just kind of moving around.
Yeah. What was growing up in Seattle like?
It was the best. I mean, I was, I'm a Gen Xer, so I basically grew up going to, all the first grunge shows that, wasn't really labeled as grunge at the time, but it was just Nirvana, Mudhoney, Tad, the Dwarves, just so many incredible Screaming Trees, Mark Lanigan. Yeah. I mean, we were so lucky. I was just talking to someone about this the other day because, the whole idea, a lot of people that aren't from Seattle and sort of imagine what that scene was like back in the day. A lot of it just came, you can see it in a lot of the interviews as well, but just from a lot of acts didn't come that far north and west. So we created our own scene, and that was very evident. We all felt that back in those days. And, those kind of shows were every weekend or every week, Screaming Trees, Nirvana, these bands would play 3 times a month, all in a very close circle. So it was a lot of fun growing up in those days for sure.
Yeah, it's a much different time frame. You go to those shows and you have to create your own scene, and you can't stay home and watch all that stuff on YouTube. You just
I think it's a really interesting time, because a lot of the culture of skateboarding and even snowboarding that I grew up in and music were so closely tied together. And also living in the Pacific Northwest and having the mountains so close to the city in a lot of ways, created just kind of this outdoorsy, cold weather, rainy weather vibe that we all kind of just came together and, either found parking garages to skate in or mountains to go ride, small rooms to play music in, all the things. So,
for me as a music fan, like music was my gateway into skateboarding and snowboarding, like watching skate videos. And I'm like, I want to do that because I already like the music. Was that your experience, or were you kind of a skate snowboard person first and music came along, or were they totally separate for you?
That's such a cool question. I think that for me, it was skateboarding first because I'm like late 80s skateboarder. But at the same time, I was getting into punk rock.
Yeah.
So, I'm like 14 or 15 at this point where I'm really into it. I'm 14. And, I'm going from basically listening to like classic rock from my parents to finding my own music, and that became like punk rock, metal. And, this was before the 90s hip hop wave. But, yeah, you just like every ramp jam, every skate contest, or anytime we were driving up to the mountain, it was just like heavy shit.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was our music.
Yeah.
It was just kind of our take on the culture at the time. And I just feel really lucky. I mean, growing up with like, bands like Black Flag and Minor Threat, and thinking about how important that music was to me. And how it kind of how it's lasted to be here, 30 years later, 35 years later, and go like, whoa, shit still holds up, and and it's cool.
Yeah. At what point do you kind of decide like snowboarding is your trajectory?
Based pretty early, like 15, 16. So this is back. This is 90s, early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, I guess. And it's just another way to go to basically enjoy like what we were doing on skateboards. And a lot of us in that area were either put on a ski bus early on, and just realized real quick, like, why would I ski if there's this thing called a snowboard? And so we started snowboarding, and we weren't the first generation. There's like a generation that's just a little bit older than I am, maybe 5 years, that were like the first pros. And then we were like the second wave of professional riders. And because so many of them came from Seattle or Northern California back in those days. I mean, we were just around, we were riding with the best riders in the world when we were kids. So just kind of grew from there.
Yeah. Like anything, everything kind of, the trajectory is much bigger than when it started. Do you ever watch like, I know when I watch the Olympics and there's half pipes and skateboarding, I'm always just like, it's like, holy shit. Like, do you have that? Just like, look at how far snowboarding's come in like
always
30 years.
Always skateboarding too. Like I mean, it's just not even the same, the same thing barely, that it was when we were, but that's what's so cool. Every generation, picks up where the last left off, and we were a time and a place, and we took it to as far as we could go or we could imagine, and then the next generation picks it up from there and moves forward. And now you're watching, I mean, in a lot of ways you're like, I'm pretty sure video games inspired a style that was like, it opened up imagination. Like, what if you could do these combo tricks, or what if you could take something that's just really technical and put it into this space? And even though it was a video game at first, it's somehow when I watch these, if I'm on Thrasher's social media feed or I'm watching snowboarding, at its highest level, I'm like, this looks like a video game. These guys are awesome. It's crazy. Yeah. So, it's very fun from my vantage point to see where it is today.
Yeah. Jump ahead in time. You're here to talk about cardboard sessions, but before that, you did cardboard snowboard, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, go ahead.
No, just what was the inspiration and kind of thought process behind like, let's make a snowboard out of cardboard?
Yeah. So we have a snowboard company right now called Signal Snowboards, and we've had that for 20 years. And in the middle of about 2009, we started this like first YouTube show in snowboarding called Every Third Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And Every Third Thursday was this opportunity for us to build and design something new every month and share it with the world. And this is before Instagram had Reels or TikTok was was available. It was basically just a hard post. So you would, you would just share a photo or, maybe a little bit of a video clip. But YouTube was kind of where those things lived. And so we started this and it took off. And within a couple of years, this show got picked up by one of YouTube's production companies and Toyota. And it really helped us propel some of the ideas. And it just so happened that we came up with a cardboard snowboard idea with my neighbor who owns the biggest cardboard company at the time. He happened to be my neighbor in California. And the idea was like, let's build something that, if you were traveling, you could ride one day and then throw it in the recycling bin. It was just like kind of a fun idea.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. It snapped in two. It's a great episode if you ever want to go back and watch it. But it inspired a conversation between Earnest Packaging and Signal to continue doing these cardboard designs and push sort of innovation in their world. Yeah. And, for me, I was good friends with the CEO and of course, like I love to help if I can. Yeah. And then at the same time, they were able to open up a budget that allowed us to go work with really interesting people and call on cool engineers and, basically build fun products in our industry. So we started with a surfboard. And then we made a skateboard that famously Tony Hawk had ridden and just absolutely destroyed. It was so cool. Yeah, super cool. And then that led us to Fender. We have a friend there, Paul Waller, who is a master builder, and he helped us build that first cardboard Strat. That went viral on the internet, and from there it just kind of took off. We just started building more things and getting interested in completing the band, so to speak. And not even with the idea of dropping another series called, that ended up being Cardboard Sessions, but just to see if we could, could we make drums? Could we make a bass? We just kind of kept going. We're all having fun. And then the pandemic hits and I'm watching all of these bands, my favorite bands, play these empty warehouse shows, live streaming for their fans. And I thought about these instruments just sitting in a warehouse, or in a storage unit. I thought, when this is over, I'm going to pull these out, dust them off, and get some friends to play them and pick up a show called Cardboard Sessions. So we did that. We called on my good friend, John Theodore from Queens of the Stone Age. He brought in Isaiah Mitchell from Earthless. And we went into Gold Digger Studio, and that was the idea, right? Like to basically bring two people together that were real musicians, out in the world that we kind of all love and know, and let them just play and potentially see that spark between the musicians that we rarely get to see in a performance. Because in a performance, everything's been practiced and dialed in, and I don't know. It's always those moments when you go to a live show and the song they're playing, they do something different with it, or the vocalist hits a note they normally don't hit that you're just like, oh, that was so epic, Yeah. So I kind of wanted to bring a little of that to our show. And I think we've done that a little bit.
Yeah. When you decide you're going to build a cardboard guitar, drums, or the gamut of instruments, are there challenges there differently than the snowboard that were like, oh, we didn't expect that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I don't really think about the challenges, to be honest, so much as I just figure out the solutions. So I know that we're faced with challenges constantly, but I'm always just working with the master builder or the engineer to figure out what the solution is. And if we can get there with paper or cardboard, then we just figure out how to do that. Now, I feel like we have gotten a bit lucky here and there, but I think that is due to the really incredible team at Earnest Packaging, which is Tim Wilson and Mike Martinez, being open to putting the work in that needs to get done to make like a perfect cylinder for a drum that can handle the pressure of the not only the skins, but the hardware that goes into it. Like that's all metal. That's not, or sorry, that's all cardboard. That's not cardboard wrapped around wood or whatever. And all of the bodies of the fenders and the new acoustic that we're about to share with the world, it's all cardboard, and the necks are cardboard. So it's a lot of fun figuring out how to make that work. And a lot of it is just engineering and using the flutes or the crossbody configurations to support itself.
Yeah. How have you put together your list of musicians to bring in to play the instruments?
I started with friends.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of friends that are musicians, that, have been in bands that we all know. Started there, and then those friends know other friends and share their experiences, and it's kind of rolled on from there. We've been very lucky to have, that also extends to my friendships outside of my own relationships, and gets other bands interested. So, like, for example, my friend Ryan was like, we should get Dogstar to play this, do a cardboard session. I'm like, what? Like that would be awesome. Like Keanu Reeves, that'd be cool. And sure enough, we were able to pull it off. And that was just a wild one in so many ways, because you have an idea. You think about it, and then all of a sudden, Keanu Reeves shows up an hour before everyone else, just to kind of hang out and check everything out and see what's going down. And you're like, all right, I got a good job. This is cool.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's just like, I think some people get hung up on how to get things going. And I think when there's a good idea and there's a lot of joy and inspiration within these sessions. We're not hammering these out and trying to overproduce them. Yeah. Our whole team we're all friends. We all grew up skateboarding and snowboarding. So a lot of the musicians or the bands, when they come in and they leave, they're like, that was some of the funnest, that was one of the more fun, show sessions we've done with a in a studio setting like this, because we're just chilling, we're just trying to have some fun, get a good performance out of the band, and the idea behind a lot of all of it, the chaos, the sessions, is just connecting good people, having a good time, and making something interesting.
Yeah, and I'm sure, I play guitar, right? Anytime you get a new pedal or a new instrument, you're like, okay, what can I do? It's that sense of creativity, and I'm sure now that you've built it up, people are aware. They're like, can this cardboard bass guitar really do what a bass guitar does? Right. And you want to get in there and do something cool. It's like, I've never fucking done this before, right?
Exactly. And it's so much like getting a new, almost, it's very much like getting a new pedal or a new, just having somebody give you something that you normally wouldn't play, and playing around with it for an hour or two that's what's happening in these sessions. People are just like, whoa, this is so, we just had this musician, Owen Barry, play the acoustic guitar, and he was just like, I love it, man. It's just so, it's just so different. It's got this, it's got that, and that's the whole goal here, is to give you something that you normally would play, have it feel a little bit different, have it look a little bit different, and have you just create with it for a little bit.
Yeah, finding new ways to spark joy and creativity with the people who do it all the time.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Has there been a response from a particular musician that is been funny or memorable or stood out in a way?
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Billy Gibbons for sure. He's like, I want to take this on the road. This will be better for my back. He's like, I love it. It looks cool. And he really was like, man, we need to make one of these for tour. Nice. And so that was cool. Since we built the cardboard Wurlitzer, which is basically just a cardboard shell around it. Of course we didn't replace the keys. A lot of people love that just because it's got that old school vibe and it just looks cool. Every drummer has a favorite drum. It's usually the floor tom, or the kick drum. It's got a very like kind of old school Ludwig kind of Bonham sound.
Yeah, I'm sure it's very
that's a lot of fun. I mean, everybody chips out on it. You know, I think Pete Yorn was pretty psyched on it. I remember it was just like, damn, you know, it's like cool to have on. It would be cool to have on stage. It catches people's attention.
Yeah.
You know, especially, I'm sure you've seen it if you've watched a few, but we also call it the ghost guitar at times because in the certain light, it will just go almost transparent.
Yeah.
which is kind of neat.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. You have this acoustic guitar you're coming out with. What does by the time this airs, it's going to be January. So what does like 2026 look like for cardboard sessions or, you know, the future of, you know, more cardboard instrumentation?
Yeah. So we have a cardboard acoustic that we just wrapped with Gabriel at Echo Park Guitars. And he is a master builder out of Detroit. And he took on the project with us. And it's based off of a like 50s jazz, like a Benedetto. So it's almost more like a hollow body.
Okay.
Like, you know, acoustic, kind of electric. We put a pickup in it, so it has some range. It's very cool. It's one of my favorite builds to date. And with that, we were able to inspire, because he works a lot with Queens of the Stone Age. So Troy from Queens and Kelly Scott from Failure are playing that, and that session will be available in probably January or February. We just finished a session with SG Goodman that will be after the new year. And, you know, I got a lot of people putting out there to the universe that I'm trying to get come through for 2026.
I mean, that was my next question. Like, who's that like bucket list? Like, if this person comes through, like, holy shit, like I'll shut it down. Like,
yeah, Tom Waits for sure for me. Yeah. Nice. I mean, he's been in hiding for a while, so if he comes out and plays this cardboard, you know, guitar, I will. Yeah, I'd be almost like, okay, I'm done. You know, definitely like in the Queens camp, I love all those guys. So Josh Homme would be great. You know, I'd love to have some like Questlove to play the drums would be great. Or the Roots coming in has been high on the list. Gosh, man, Courtney Barnett, Stevie Bridgers has some awesome. St. Vincent.
Yeah.
Jack White, of course, always top of the list. We've reached out to him, but I don't, you know, it's hard. He's a busy man. But we do, but we do intend to get to Nashville at some point as well, and try to have a few sessions out there. Every once in a while, we like to travel and do something like that just to mix it up.
Nice.
But yeah, that's the hot list.
Nice. Does it feel, because you kind of went that skateboard route, you had, you know, this history in the Seattle music scene and punk being a big part of skateboarding, does it feel like you're getting to scratch an itch and be a part of the music scene now that you like maybe feel like you missed out on?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up playing guitar as well, and I had we were in some bands when we were younger. It's definitely scratching that itch of just like it. To me, I just like being in the room, you know, like I don't have these like, you know, I don't need to play as much as I love just to be in the room with people who are at the top of their game playing, you know. So yeah, first, it definitely feels great. Awesome. I was just thinking on my list too, because you never know where it circles, but I was like, you know, David Byrne also high on my list. Turnstile on the punk side, and kind of more like mainstream punk side, be cool.